Hell in a Bottle by Kyusaku Yumeno. Cover letter. Dear Sirs, I have the honor to report the following. In accordance with your earlier notice, we instructed all residents of the island to report, immediately upon discovery, any beer bottle bearing a red wax seal and believed to have been released for the study of ocean currents. Recently, 3 beer bottles sealed with resin, as enclosed in the accompanying parcel, were found washed ashore on the southern coast of this island and duly brought to our office. They were discovered at points separated from one another by distances ranging from approximately half a league to more than a league. Some lay buried in the sand, while others were wedged firmly between rocks. They appear to have come ashore a considerable time ago. Furthermore, their contents do not appear to be the government postcards described in your instructions, but rather fragments torn from a notebook. It is therefore impossible for us to record the dates on which they came ashore, as requested. Nevertheless, believing that the bottles may still be of some interest to you, we have sent all 3, unopened and at the village's expense. We respectfully request that you acknowledge their receipt. Yours faithfully. Month. Day. XX Island Village Office. Official seal. To the Oceanographic Research Institute. Contents of the first bottle.
Ah, at last. A ship has come to rescue us from this lonely island. 2 boats have been lowered onto the rough waves from a great ship with 2 tall funnels. Among the people watching from its deck, we can see the dear figures of those who must be our father and mother. And, oh, even from here we can clearly see them waving white handkerchiefs toward us. Father and mother must have received the letter in the first beer bottle we sent and come to save us. White smoke is rising from the great ship, and we can hear its high, shrill whistle calling, "We are coming to rescue you now." The sound sent all the birds and insects on this little island flying into the air at once, then faded far out over the sea. But to the 2 of us, it sounded more terrible than the trumpet of the Last Judgment. It seemed as though heaven and earth had split open before us, and the light of God's eyes and the flames of hell had flashed forth together. Ah, my hands are trembling. My heart is in such confusion that I cannot write. I can no longer see through my tears. We are going now to climb the high cliff directly before that great ship. There, where father and mother and the sailors coming to rescue us can see clearly, we shall hold each other tightly and throw ourselves into the deep water below. The sharks that always swim there will soon devour us. Afterward, the people in the boats will see the single beer bottle floating on the water, with our letter inside, and pick it up. Ah, Father, Mother, forgive us, forgive us, forgive us, forgive us. Please resign yourselves to believing that we were never your beloved children at all. And to all those who have so kindly come all this way from our distant home solely to rescue us, we are truly, truly sorry to repay your kindness in this way. Please, please forgive us, and pity our unhappy fate. For at the very moment when the joy of returning to the human world and being held again in the arms of father and mother has come to us, we must die. Unless we punish our bodies and souls in this way, we cannot atone for the sin we have committed. This is the retribution for the terrible transgression the 2 of us committed on this lonely island. Please forgive us for confessing no more than this. We are mad, foolish creatures, worthy only to become food for sharks. Ah, farewell. From 2 sorrowing souls whom neither God nor man can save. To father, mother, and everyone.
Contents of the second bottle.
Ah, O God, who sayest what is done in secret, is there truly no escape from this torment except through my death? How many times have I climbed alone to the top of that high cliff we call God's footstool and looked down into the bottomless depths where 2 or 3 sharks are always swimming at play. I cannot count how often I have meant to cast myself from it then and there. Yet each time I remembered poor Ayako. With sighs deep enough to destroy my soul, I climbed back down over the sharp-edged rocks. For I knew beyond all doubt that if I died, Ayako would soon throw herself from the cliff after me. How many years have passed since Ayako and I washed ashore on this little island in that boat? After the waves swept away our nurse and her husband, the captain, the man at the controls, and all the others. It is like summer throughout the year on this island, so we cannot clearly distinguish Christmas from New Year's Day. But I believe nearly 10 years have passed. At that time, all we had with us was one pencil, a knife, a notebook, a magnifying glass, 3 beer bottles filled with water, and one small copy of the New Testament. That was all. But we were happy. On this small island, luxuriant with green, there were no birds, beasts, or crawling things that troubled us, apart from an occasional large ant. And there was more abundant food than could possibly be needed by the two of us. Myself, then 11 years old, and Ayako, who had only just turned 7. There were mynah birds and parrots. Birds of paradise we had seen only in pictures, and splendid butterflies such as we had never seen or heard of. Somewhere on the island, throughout the year, there were delicious coconuts, pineapples, and bananas, enormous red and purple flowers, sweet-smelling grasses, and eggs laid by birds both large and small. As for birds and fish, we could catch as many as we wished simply by striking them with a stick. We gathered such things, focused the sunlight through our magnifying glass onto dry grass, lit pieces of driftwood, and cooked our food over the fire. In time, we discovered a clear spring that welled up only at low tide between a headland and the rocks on the eastern side of the island. Near it, among the rocks on the beach, we made a hut from the wreckage of our boat and gathered soft dry grass on which Ayako and I could sleep. Beside the hut, we used old nails from the boat to carve a square hollow into the side of a rock, making something like a small storeroom. Eventually the rain, wind, and sharp rocks tore away both our outer clothes and our underclothes, until the two of us were naked like true savages. Even then, every morning and evening without fail, we climbed the cliff called God's Footstool, read the Bible, and prayed for father and mother. Then we wrote a letter to father and mother, placed it in one of our precious beer bottles, and sealed it tightly with resin. After kissing the bottle together over and over, we threw it into the sea. The current circling the island carried it steadily away, far out over the water, and it never returned. After that, so that anyone coming to rescue us would have a sign to look for, we set a long pole at the highest point of God's footstool and always kept some fresh green leaves tied to it. Sometimes we quarreled, but we soon made peace and played at school or some other game. I often made Ayako my pupil and taught her words from the Bible and how to write. We both regarded the Bible as God, Father, Mother, and Teacher all in one. We treasured it far more than the magnifying glass or the beer bottles and kept it on the highest ledge inside the hollow in the rock. We were truly happy and at peace. This island was like heaven. How could we ever have imagined that a dreadful devil would creep into the happiness of two people alone on such a distant island? And yet it truly did creep in. I cannot say when it began, but as the days and months passed, I saw Ayako's body growing with miraculous beauty and radiance. At times she was dazzling as the spirit of a flower. At others, she was as painfully alluring as a devil, and whenever I looked at her, my thoughts grew dark and sorrowful for reasons I could not understand. Brother! Each time Ayako cried out and flung herself against my shoulder, her innocent eyes shining, I felt my heart leap in a way it never had before, and each time it happened, my heart shuddered with terror, as though it had been delivered over to the torments of damnation. Before long, Ayako's manner also began to change. Like me, she came to look at me in a wholly different way, with eyes that were dearer than before, and wet with tears. And it seemed that touching my body had somehow begun to make her feel both ashamed and sad. We stopped quarreling altogether. Instead, we wore troubled faces and sometimes sighed in secret. Being alone together on this distant island had become inexpressibly painful, joyful, and lonely. More than that, as we gazed into each other's faces, the world before our eyes would rapidly darken, as though beneath the shadow of death. Not knowing whether it was a revelation from God or a jest played by the devil, our hearts would suddenly pound, and we would start as if returning to ourselves. This came to happen many times each day. We both understood one another's hearts perfectly, yet neither of us dared speak, for fear of God's commandment. Without saying a word, we each knew the anxiety in the other's mind. What would we do if, after such a thing had happened, a rescue ship came? But one still, cloudless afternoon, after we had roasted and eaten the eggs of a sea turtle, we sat with our legs stretched out on the sand, watching white clouds glide across the distant sea. Suddenly Ayako said, "Brother, if one of the two of us became ill and died, what would the other one do?" As she spoke, Ayako's face turned scarlet and she lowered her head. Tears fell one after another onto the sun-scorched sand, and she showed me a sorrowful smile beyond all description. I do not know what expression came over my face then. I only know that I could scarcely breathe, that my heart pounded as if it would burst, and that I rose without giving her any answer, mute as a dumb man. Slowly, I walked away from Ayako. I climbed to the top of God's footstool, tore at my hair, and flung myself face down upon the rocks. Ah, O God who art in heaven! Ayako knows nothing. That is why she said such a thing to me. Please do not punish that innocent girl. Keep her pure forever and ever. And as for me, but, oh God, what am I to do? How can I be delivered from this torment? For me to remain alive is the greatest possible sin against Ayako. Yet if I die, I shall bring her still deeper sorrow and suffering. Ah, what am I to do? What am I? Ugoji. My hair is filled with sand, and my belly is pressed against the rock. If my prayer for death accords with thy will, then give my life this very instant to a bolt of burning lightning. Ah, O God who sayest what is done in secret, hallowed, hallowed be thy name. Manifest thy holy sign upon the earth. But God gave no sign. In the indigo sky, shining white clouds merely streamed past like threads. Far below the cliff, amid the roaring coils of blue and brilliant white water, the tails and fins of sharks at play showed themselves from time to time. As I stared and stared into those clear blue, bottomless depths, my head gradually began to spin. I staggered without meaning to and nearly fell into the drifting, breaking foam below, but with a desperate effort I caught myself at the cliff's edge. The next instant, I bounded back to the highest point of the cliff. I tore down the pole that stood there, together with the dead palm leaves tied to its tip, and hurled it into the distant water below. Now we are safe. If a rescue ship comes, it will pass us by. Thinking this, I burst into wild, mocking laughter and ran down the cliff like a ravening wolf. I rushed into the hut, seized the Bible lying open at the Psalms, placed it on the remains of the fire in which we had roasted the turtle eggs, threw dry grass over it, and blew until the flames sprang up. Then, shouting Ayako's name with all the strength of my voice, I ran toward the beach and looked around. Ayako was far out on the great rock at the tip of the headland. She was kneeling there, gazing up into the sky as if in prayer. I stumbled 2 or 3 steps backward. Upon that purple rock encircled by rough waves, Ayako's back shone blood-red in the setting sun. How sacred she looked. The tide rose steadily around her, washing the seaweed beneath her knees, but she did not notice. Bathed in waves of golden light, she prayed with all her soul. How noble she looked, how dazzling. For a time, I stood frozen like stone and stared at her. Then suddenly I understood what Ayako had resolved to do. With a start, I leapt into motion. I ran without thought, slipping over the shell-covered rocks until I was covered with wounds, and clambered onto the great rock at the headland. Ayako fought like a madwoman, thrashing, weeping, and screaming, but I clasped her tightly in both arms. My whole body covered in blood, I finally managed to carry her back to the hut. But our hut was no longer there. Together with the Bible and the dry grass, it had become white smoke and vanished into the far reaches of the blue sky. From that time onward, Ayako and I were driven in both body and soul into true darkness. Day and night, we could do nothing but weep and gnash our teeth. It became impossible for us to embrace, comfort, encourage, pray, or grieve together. We could not even bear to sleep in the same place. This was, I suppose, the punishment for my burning the Bible. At night, every glimmer of starlight, every sound of the waves, every insect's cry, every rustle of leaves in the wind, and every falling fruit seemed to whisper words from the Bible. They surrounded us and drew nearer, step by step. Unable to move or even doze, we suffered apart from one another, terrified that all those sounds had come to peer into our hearts. When the long, long night ended, an equally long day began. Then the sun shining over the island, the singing parrots, the dancing birds of paradise, the jewel beetles and moths, the palms and pineapples, the colors of the flowers, the fragrance of the grass, the sea, the clouds, the wind, and the rainbow. All became confused with Ayako's dazzling figure and the suffocating scent of her skin. Swirling and blazing round and round, they seemed to rush upon me from every direction, to envelop me and crush me to death. And from their midst, Ayako's tormented eyes, imprisoned in the same suffering as mine, gazed fixedly at me for ever and ever, holding the sorrow of God and the smile of the devil within them. The pencil is almost gone, so I cannot write much more. I mean to seal within this bottle the truth of our hearts. Though subjected to such torment and persecution, we still fear the commandment of God. Then I shall cast it into the sea. Before we surrender to the devil's temptation, perhaps as soon as tomorrow, while at the very least our bodies remain pure. Ah God, though we suffer such torture, neither of us falls ill. Day by day, we grow plumper, healthier, and more beautiful, protected by the pure air and water of this island, its abundant food, and its lovely, joyful flowers and birds. Ah, what a terrible torment this is. This beautiful and joyful island has become entirely a hell. God, God, why wilt thou not strike the two of us dead in a single blow? Written by Taro.
Contents of the third bottle.
Dear Father, dear Mother, we two, brother and sister, are living happily and keeping well on this island. Please come and rescue us soon. Taro Ichikawa.
Ayako Ichikawa.
The Japanese Mystery Library. Classic mysteries from Japan in English. Subscribe to hear the next story.